All right, let's get this pre-started. So last night, it's going to be a slow grind at the open, okay? So we have a couple marker positions to go over here and what we had seen. So the pop to our final targets on the Friday and the huge drop, right? And if you fib out that beautiful candle where we have the fair value gap up here, 15, the no tag GP1, no tag GP2, and of course the third, we had some retracing to do. So if you drew this 15 high here, or 15 high low here, washed through the 1618, through the 2618, and right to our favorite Fibonacci position right there of the 3618 for the reversal, hits that, returns the 2618, and stops for Friday. That brings us to the retrace points for the open. Okay, so you see these big channels. Weekly is always teal. Orange is the prior all-time high, which is the ones we've been using from all last week as well, and the big dojis near them. So we opened up in a couple very interesting positions, okay? The weekly doji right here, 64.85, and this daily at 827, that was the perfect orange. Remember, we're using that as the huge over-under for the NQs. Opportunity to move over under. So we have both now a weekly and daily doji right at the open. So what was our sentiment? Obviously up, right? If you come out of those strong doji channels right here from the weekly and the daily during an opportunity of the intraday 15 looking for retracements, the most obvious move was up. We needed to return back to this gnarly 730 data candle, right? So data candles are the most important. Here's that huge wick. So if you look at that big wick right there, you see the flush and the back test. Once a level breaks, it usually back tests for confirmation of resistance. And then the next day, when all that panic is done and all those algos are done, moving into 5 p.m., opening in those doji zones, we look for the return 2, right? So we have another big level for the 15 that we were looking at for the retrace. So we went through this in the Discord, just posted a few pictures, leaned along for the first part, and then we'll talk about the second magnet we need to the downside. So we fib out that same 15 with no tag GP. We got a 100 EMA tag, a 10 SMA tag, so very consistent, and it's inside the data candle, right? So lots of good algos to be looking at the pinch points here. So we opened up here, pushed into almost the 100, right? And I had some limit order set for the GP last night, so we took a short actually here and came down. Obviously, for the momentum back up, I wanted to see the relax, because obviously when we go slamming through the 1618 on the recycle, which we did right here at open, off of those mega dojis, we're going to come to the next pivot, right? The next target. And of course, what does the market like to do? A lot of the times it shies that target, comes back down, confirms the support on the impulse move that we had shot out of the gate with, return to support, and now we're going back and again shied it, right? Really strong doji there on the 15 as well. Down, higher, low, and as we said, we are leaned towards the long on the 100 for the morning, okay? So we had a couple different anchors we could use from these as well. So those big boys, let's bring up the fundeds here for this guy. We have the anchor back test as well. So this dude here from the obvious fair value gap where we have our fib, all that, anchor VWAP just confirming, opens up, right? Banger, snaps right into that anchor. We broke over the anchor, tested strong, moving towards up, okay? So again, anchor confirmation. And then as we roll some of the intraday ones that we had seen, they are marking up with the 1, all leading to 65.0877 back test for the 15. So the opening morning session was long out of those dojis, right? Holding the golden pockets, right? That's our daily high-low of yesterday. We always have the golds on. You notice again, third confluence point, holding the golden pocket lower, holding the weekly doji, holding the daily doji, all for that push back up. And that is usually always the sentiment after a Friday panic sell. You're not looking for instant sells down coming into the Sunday night open, because obviously there's no psychological catalyst for bias to go washing back down. There's a no news Monday. What would be the panic, right? Daily biased. So as we come back up for the psychological bias to help us with our TA, we get our target of 65.08. So what's to come after that? Well, we'll move into the SPY here. Same setup, same everything back. And we need a back test. So we're working with the same exact stuff, but I use the ETFs, right? We got better magnets, ES, NQ trade through the night. And the ETFs give us our live tag metrics that we need during the pre-open, very close to. And then obviously the live trading hours, we will get first tag metrics that we always talk about. So same doji, 100 EMA, 10, down to that weekly big zone, confirming that weekly big zone. And through the night, we grind it up. And again, we are missing, confirmational backtest. So Friday on the retrace, right? We got off streamer. Right, a panic down, right? The candle bodies got real small in that close. We got the reversal, comes back up for the higher low confirmation, gives us a little higher high, but it never retraced to the 1618, right? So that brings us to first tag metrics for both levels. So this brings us into the prediction for the day. Comes into here. So we want to see the 100 tag, right? That's the shy on a live tag. Doesn't matter if we already hit it in pre, or we need the 1618. Now we're using the daily, right? Yesterday's high-low, golden Fibonacci, hopefully for some help. Now, right now, we have a magnet on both sides, which means obviously the 15's 100 and the 1618, 100 and 1618, both need to be tagged. So, of course, it's our job to find out where the oscillation's pointing and which way we could hit. Right now on trend, we did break a little of that structure, came into that lower high. So we were leaned along a little bit on the retrace back up. We got that. We didn't quite get the 100 yet. So the two instances we're looking for is hopefully a fail point here, back down to the 1618, up to the 100. That's option A, right? And that's if we push open, we push into the 6018, we push into the 100, which all needs live tags, and then we drop to the 1618 that needs a live tag from what we just talked about in the 50. If we do not get option A, option B would be on deck for an opening morning range fail, coming back down to here and at least tagging the 1618 for a little bit of a test, and then it needs to pick direction. Okay, so it looks like option B is slowly playing out right now, and we'll talk about the VIX on why we could slide down first because of oscillation here on the big C. Let's get this over here. All right, so why is there very strong magnets on the VIX for upside? Well, once the VIX holds over the 100 EMA 5-minute, like I like to see today, and we get some pops, we can get rotation up. We have a $16 15-minute gap from Friday. 15-minute, not 5. We have a 5-minute gap lower right here coming into 15.8 as well. So magnets for the VIX are actually pulling us to that upside. We hit one big RSI overhot push. Now we're waiting for confirmation of the VIX to get up and over that 100 EMA to start pushing towards 16. That would net us that drop, right? So we are kind of slowly leaned long, like we said here, towards. Now when it comes into the closer to the open, it's down because VIX needs to confirm. So the VIX before was giving us confirmation of upside. It had a crossed MACD. It was coming off of a hot RSI, and we were coming off of that 100 EMA pop and no hold. So if the fear is coming down and not over the 100 EMA, you got to lean long for the market. So now it's slowly basing, and it's looking like it wants to get over that 100 EMA to push towards those opening gaps, and we'll see what that does on a no news Monday. Remember, we don't have a whole lot going on, unfortunately, for big scary stuff. So the two options we got to see is the open magnet drag down, open magnet drag up. Now, there's a good way to play both of these by not touching anything until it touches one of those levels. So a lot of the ways you don't want to be in the middle going for the long or going for the short because you don't know the directional pick, but there's a way to edge the market here, right? Get a little edge on it. And that's don't touch anything until you see it slam down into here for support or see it rip up here into resistance. So plan a short off of our 100 magnet or plan a long off of our 1618 magnet. Either way, we could have a counter trend opportunity. Notice the pre-market high and pre-market low, again, are dead on with both of our algo magnets for the fib. So it would be a good idea to see it sweep the pre-market highs down or sweep the pre-market lows up, right? So let's try not to touch anything until we get some confirmation. And those are the keys for this morning.